The jury is deliberating in the case of Kyle Rittenhouse, who fatally shot 2 men and wounded a third during riots in Kenosha last year. Here's what we know so far. Kyle Rittenhouse, then 17, had traveled to Kenosha, Wisconsin on August 25, 2020, from Illinois as protests marred by looting, arson, and rioting gripped the city following the police shooting of a black man, Jacob Blake. Rittenhouse was armed with an AR-15 style rifle and says he went to Kenosha to protect a car dealership. According to coverage of the trial by the Associated Press, the first man shot and killed by Rittenhouse was Joseph Rosenbaum, who was 36. Footage shows Rosenbaum and others chasing Rittenhouse. While a state witness told the court Rosenbaum lunged at Rittenhouse's gun, the forensic pathologist who performed Rosenbaum's autopsy said his wounds were consistent either with lunging for the gun or falling forward. Rittenhouse fired 4 shots. Rosenbaum sustained wounds to his groin, hand, thigh, back, and head. Rittenhouse fled, pursued by a group of people, one of whom hit him in the head. Rittenhouse tripped and fell. After he went down, a man jump-kicked Rittenhouse. Anthony Huber, who was 26, then struck Rittenhouse with his skateboard while struggling for control of the gun. Rittenhouse fatally shot him in the chest. Finally, Gage Grosskreutz, who was 26 at the time, approached, hands raised, but then pointed his gun at Rittenhouse in self-defense after seeing Rittenhouse re-rack his gun, he told the court. Rittenhouse shot him in the right biceps. Rittenhouse faces 5 felony counts: first-degree reckless homicide for killing Rosenbaum, 2 counts of recklessly endangering safety for firing his gun near other people, first-degree intentional homicide for killing Huber, and first-degree attempted intentional homicide for shooting Grosskreutz. The jury can also consider lesser charges. Rittenhouse faces life in prison for the most serious charge. He has pleaded not guilty to all counts. The jury must decide whether he was acting in self-defense and whether the shootings were necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself. A medical expert at the trial of ex-police officer Derek Chauvin has said that the activities of law enforcement officers resulted in George Floyd's death, according to the BBC. Chauvin is on trial for murder, having been filmed kneeling on Floyd's neck for 9 minutes last May. And forensic pathologist Dr. Lindsay Thomas's review of Floyd's autopsy, medical reports, and other materials on behalf of the prosecution concluded that he died because of a lack of oxygen. The Atlantic names 2 types of neck restraint used by U.S. police. The first is a carotid restraint, known as the stranglehold, sleeper hold, or blood choke. Here, applying pressure to the carotid arteries in the neck temporarily stops blood flow to the brain. As a result, the person becomes unconscious, but can still breathe. Police also use what is known as a chokehold. In this instance, pressure is applied to the windpipe in the middle of the neck so that the person can't breathe. This position prevents the lungs from being able to take in oxygen. The latter hold is not allowed by most large police departments, according to The Atlantic, but appears to correspond with Thomas's analysis of Floyd's death. The BBC reported her saying, "It's a death where both the heart and lungs stopped working," and she added that, "In this case, I believe the primary mechanism of death is asphyxia or low oxygen." Medical examiner Dr. Andrew Michael Baker, who performed the post-mortem examination of Floyd, agreed with Dr. Thomas's findings more generally, saying Floyd died as a result of his encounter with police, not because of drug use or heart disease. The owner of the home, Gregory McMichael, and his son Travis McMichael and William Roddy Bryan Jr., accused Ahmaud Arbery of burgling before he was killed, has told a jury in the murder trial that he had not asked the men to protect the property and he had called the police to report various people entering the property in the months before Arbery was killed. The 3 men, all white, are accused of chasing Arbery, a black man, in vehicles before killing him, according to CNN, with Arbery's mother telling CNN's Anderson Cooper on Thursday night that her son was jogging and in the midst of his jog, he stopped by an unoccupied home under construction and looked around and was killed immediately. The 3 men involved in the killing have pleaded not guilty to charges of malice and felony murder, plus charges of aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and criminal attempt to commit false imprisonment. An anti-violence demonstration descended into chaos on Thursday night when 2 snipers killed at least 5 police officers. According to police, 2 snipers fired at officers from an elevated position in a downtown Dallas parking garage. At least 5 officers were killed and 6 others were injured. Witnesses said they saw a gunman wearing tactical gear exchange fire with police at street level. The suspect ambushed a man believed to be a police officer, killing him with several gunshots. Reports said one of the suspects was cornered by police in the parking garage and shot himself after a standoff. Police sent in a robot to verify whether the suspect was dead and to check his body for bombs. Police said 3 suspects were in custody, including a woman arrested close to the parking garage. 2 men were held after they were seen leaving the scene at high speed in a car. Police retrieved 2 camouflage bags from the vehicle. The protest in downtown Dallas was held in response to the fatal shooting of 2 black men by police officers in Minnesota and Louisiana. It is unknown if the Dallas shootings were related to those incidents or if they were an act of terrorism.
For more news animations and explainers, hit the subscribe and bell button to join the TomoNews family. Thanks for watching.